Welcome back, people of the internet, to another episode of The Silent Bard Tavern. I'm your host, The Bard, and I know the last couple episodes kind of dragged a bit, but I promise you we have some exciting stuff for you today. We got tea. We got combat. We got combat tea. Really excited about that. Well, let me not get too ahead of myself. Here is our latest episode, The Offender. Content warning. Scenes of graphic violence and horror described around the 1 hour mark.
Last time on the Phantoms of Talva.
Well, she heard that there is a wizard here, and she's currently hoping to find out if he's willing to take her in as an apprentice.
I would be chronicling, checking my maps to find the next place to find magical items of interest.
She kind of stops and looks at the book, and realizing what it is, she kind of says, excuse me, what's this book? Where did it come from?
Stopping my very gracious tour, turn back, observe the book. A book that I've received recently that I cannot read.
Recently can mean a lot of things. This particular book has been in your possession for almost 50 years now.
Small, blue-scaled cultist robes. Yellow-eyed and kind of small. Goes by the name of Chaff.
He eventually turns his head as he's sort of scanning the room. He turns his head and he looks right at Hannah.
Question. That dude that stared at me, did he look familiar to me at all?
Will she come to a sudden realization?
If she was trying to kill us, a farm is a horrible place to do it.
Okay. So, if you guys remember last time, our previously known as live audience, The Watcher, joined us as Chaff, the kobold, who had to escape from a cave. They had a book that they stole, that they no longer have from their captors, and they made their egress into a field where they saw the rest of you. But before we get into where you all actually meet, I'm going to backtrack a bit here to the ride into that area for Arthur and Hannah. So you guys are in the cart. You have Boars with you, and you also have Armin, who's presently sitting facing the back end of the carriage. And he seems to be polishing one of his guns. And Arthur, as usual, is going on about one of his stories. And which story is it exactly that you're telling this time, Arthur?
So I invented soda this one time. What this field used to look like when it was all trees. Oh, we're not at the farm yet, huh?
You're not at the farm yet, but again, most of these roads around town, there's not much forest or wooded area in what's considered garage. Garage proper is just that town square with the few buildings, but garage as a whole is a bunch of farm plots. You have vineyards, you have wheat fields, you have all kinds of grains and vegetable patches. So you are traveling through the dirt roads between those fields.
Let's talk about what this place looked like before all these dirt paths and fields.
Okay, so he's telling a story?
Yeah, he's talking about what the fields were like before.
She would have asked you, so how did you end up in this town?
Funny story. Morgan Freeman sent me here.
Is that your... That's your actual secret, Morgan Freeman sent me here.
I'm Morgan Freeman, and I control all DMs.
Guys, I forgot to tell you, our actual new special guest for today is Morgan Freeman.
Alright. I arrived here long ago after a great battle. Which battle I will not say, because frankly I've quite forgotten it. The land was newly scarred. It was needing of repairs and healing. I thought in everyone's best interest if I helped out. And here I've stayed ever since.
She has her arms crossed and she's kind of looking down. And she's like, was it that war that happened recently or was it like further back than that?
So at that point, Boris kind of pipes up. He turns from what he's doing at the reins and he says, "Ooh, Arthur? No, he's been here as long as town, which is much longer than the Liberation War."
So she kind of looks a little wide-eyed at Arthur and she goes, "So you really are an old man. I'm sure you've seen a lot of interesting things."
Boris is like dying laughing at the front. And then Armin kind of looks back from polishing his gun and he just and then just goes back to what he's doing. He seems fairly disinterested in the conversation as a whole.
Well, as I've said before, I am a subrace of Owlin that tend to live for much longer than most other races. And,
Well, as long as you don't keel over on me.
that won't be happening anytime soon, I can guarantee that in the least. And if you were born around my time, then I assume you would be still kicking, as they say, to have seen this place grow.
What time is that, Arthur? Because I'm pretty sure my mother knew you when she came here.
Oh, let's see. Carry the 2, subtract all wars, and then add the time I was a bard. What are we talking about again?
It's like, you're a bard?
I would like you, because I would like you to roll me a deception check, and you are going against the 2 NPCs here.
2 NPCs. Didn't mention the player character. You must be an NPC.
That's up to her if she wants to insight you.
She wasn't gonna insight it. She just sees him as a kooky old man.
I have a bonus deception. So that's that is, what the heck? Oh my god! 17. Alright, that's not natural 20.
What did you get?
16 plus 4.
Okay.
Dirty 20.
They both, kind of glance over, but they just chalk it up to you being senile.
Yes!
So yeah, my character was like, you were a bard at some point?
It's common with elves too. When you live very long, eventually you try some of everything. Only thing I didn't try was becoming a warlock.
Kind of leans forward. She's like, you know any fun songs?
Oh, I know a few good ones in Dwarvish, but besides that, I haven't sang for many a years. It would not like everyone's ears to begin bleeding.
She kind of winces and sits back, and she's like, yeah, never mind then.
What about you, Anna? You have that lute. How about you sing us a song or two? You are bard, no?
And she kind of whips it out, like she had it, she had it strapped to her back, and she just kind of swings it around in a smooth move, and she goes, say no more. And she starts kind of strumming just like a nice tune for the trip.
Okay. And like I had mentioned previously, it takes you guys the better part of, I want to say, 3 hours-ish. It takes you a good while to get from the town out to the fields. And almost immediately, as you guys are approaching, you just see the fields become more and more scarce looking, more and more tarnished, as you see just plots of land that look like they've just been ripped up. Like someone went through there and started to harvest grain and whatnot way before its time. And Boris is just, as he's listening to your tune, eventually he just, oh no, this is much worse than I thought. Oh, and he pulls back on the reins. And then you begin to see 1, 2, 7 goblin heads just poke out from the field. And they just all start to come and approach the cart, and Boris just instinctively hops off the driver's seat and he begins to converse with these goblins.
My character's just listening in as if she stopped playing her music and she's listening in as if she could understand, but she doesn't have a clue what they're saying.
I'll go outside and just on top of the carriage, just stand there looking down at them.
As you do that, one of the goblins kind of just eyes you and freaks out a bit. All it sees is a large bird taking perch, and it immediately thinks, oh my gosh, I'm going to get eaten, and just dips back into the field. And you're just hearing Boars go back and forth with these goblins. And then Boris finally turns back to you guys. They say this has been happening for the better part of a month. And every time at night.
What's been happening?
This, and he kind of like gestures to the field. Something has been coming and tearing up the crops prematurely.
Might they have seen what it was?
I asked them that, but they said that they've set out watches and still nothing. They said whatever it is small enough to go past even their watch.
Then ask them if the way the fields were uprooted, if it looked crudely, or as if this isn't done by something with intelligence. Have they been using tools? Or have they just been clawing it out of the ground?
Boris doesn't even wait to ask them. He says, I could tell you myself, it looks like something just yanked it out of the ground. Not even digging.
My character looks at Arthur and she's like, do you have any way to detect any sort of magic here?
You think it's magic?
Well, I mean, anything's possible.
Armand. At this point, he finally hops out of the back of the carriage and he's kind of like scanning the area, and then he kneels down and he immediately...
Dang, is kneeling down. Was that his bag popping when he kneeled down?
No, that was the dice.
He kneels down.
He just rolled an 18 on his check.
Nice.
I see a bunch of footprints, like claws. Definitely not human, or elf, or even goblin. And he stands up to his full height. Definitely some kind of beast with intelligence.
At that point, she had walked out of the cart. She pointed at Arthur and she's like, "The jig is up. We know it's you." But you could tell she's like playing.
So just like lifting one of my legs and just like clenching and unclenching my claw foot. It was like, yes, I am definitely the one who made these tracks. Alright, guess we're going back early. Just put my hands out like I'm getting cuffed.
Yeah, Armin and Bors look very unamused by you guys. Arthur, this is very serious. This is my family's crops.
Where is your family?
They must be at the main manor.
Yeah, maybe they have more information about what's going on.
And he kind of like scratches the back of his head, and you see some of the goblins are giggling to themselves. They are... It has been a long time since they've occupied themselves with these things.
Oh, I see. My character looks at him and she's like, "Is there any other crop left, or are you guys wiped clean?"
From the look of it, it looks like we have some, but if this has been happening for a month, you can guarantee it's probably still going to happen, especially if Beast has not been challenged. I agree. And from the looks of things, it looks like they traveled north into the woods.
So she kind of does that thing where she puts her fist in her palm and she goes, "Then we'll set up a trap."
Trap?
Don't quite agree with a trap, though it could come up with something faster than what I was going to suggest. I suggest we send our resident bloodhound here, resting my arm on top of Salt and Pepper Hair Man. I forgot his name for right now.
Armin. You wait, did you
Armchair.
come down? I almost gave him the last name Hammer. Armin Hammer. Did you come down from the top of the carriage or...
Yeah, I'll fly down. Backflip off.
Backflip. Double, triple somersault.
Might I suggest... Hit an ollie right at the end.
Where'd you get the skateboard from?
Prestidigitation! So I landed next to her, just like, might I suggest we employ the skills of our resident bloodhound to just simply follow the tracks to where they're going?
Yeah, we could do that, but it seems like it gets a little muddled once you get into the actual field. All I could see is the tracks across the road, but I'll try.
What I say to him is, if you believe you can follow the tracks, and I believe we should try. If you think your skills aren't up to it, then we should follow the idea of setting a trap. So what do you say, Armin? What do you think we should do?
Well, we came out here to take care of them vermin. I say that's what we go do. And he looks at Bors, and Bors just nods with a bit of a smile.
Alright, then lead on. I see no reality in which this ends up bad for us. At least not all of us.
Yeah, you've lived a full life. I'm sure you're fine.
I should have seen that reality coming.
Bors turns to the goblins and just mutters something in Goblin real quick, and they all just kind of scatter back into the fields. And Armin immediately moves to start seeing if he could track anything. Okay, not bad, man. Armin, you are the man. You are rolling high, my friend. So he immediately starts tracking these claw prints. And at first, when he goes into the field, he kind of seems to pause and he's just looking around a lot. Almost like he can't tell which way to go. And then after a good 2 or 3 minutes, he finally just beelines it northwest. And he kind of gets lost in a field of wheat.
All right. I'll fly up and see where the wheat is disturbed.
I'm going to go to the opposite side of the field and suggest to him to just look for tracks outside of the field.
You mean you're going to go down the road?
Because he got lost in the field, right? Looking for tracks?
It appears to you that he was lost for a moment there before he just, like a hound picking up a scent, he just books it in one direction.
All right, well, I'm following him. I'm booking it.
And Bors is also following up behind. He's kind of like looking around and behind, making sure that nothing else is lingering in the fields aside from the goblins. And Arthur, you can see before anybody else that Armin is headed towards another clearing across this field. And that clearing sits just one patch away from the woods ahead.
I would not like to land. I would like to stay my max fly height up in the sky.
How high is your max fly height?
30.
You're only 30 feet up?
Yeah.
Okay.
I could go more with it. That is like that's my max for a turn of flight, I should have said. I'll say my turn's max of height.
Okay. I'm going to need 2 things here.
Milkshake and a pizza.
I'm going to need a stealth roll from Chaff. And I'm going to need a perception roll from Arthur.
I've been using my silver dice. Do you want to try that again?
Go for it.
Order 66.
This will be
rolls
the
a
nat
nat
one of this game.
Yeah.
The only one.
Dang, if it rolls nat 1, this lizard got the luck of the gods. Perception?
Correct.
A 17. 16 plus 1.
Okay. And what did you roll in stealth there, Chaff?
7.
So, when you first came across them, they weren't paying you no mind. It seemed they were on a track. They were headed their way, and as presumably you were trying to avoid people, you get spotted by this flying owl who sees the heads of wheat moving where his companions are not. And as he looks closer, he spots a small lizard person dressed in vestments that seem like they would belong to a priest.
It's Mushu.
That's what I thought.
I'd probably look pretty beaten up too.
Yeah, they're very tattered vestments, but they are vestments nonetheless.
Alright, I want a Merlin, one of those, like, talking horns. I don't know what they're called. And
Megaphones.
just scream out to the others that, I've spotted something of interest. Go towards your... And then whichever direction, the right, left, upside down. Which way were they going? I'm gonna say right. Go right!
They were headed northwards, and Chaff, which direction were you headed in?
I'd say I was going away from the entrance that I came from. I'm gonna keep running south.
Okay, so you're telling them that he's headed south?
Yeah. And I also want to say, it seems to be a small creature heading south. Capture it, breathing. And I'll try to swoop down at it too. Like, just straight up like a bird, using my bottom feet to capture it.
Okay.
Bottom feet, bottom claws.
In the wheat?
So your fly speed is,
30.
and your running speed is what, Chaff?
30.
All right. He's booking it. You're both booking it. Armin about faces and starts immediately running towards where he could kind of see Arthur, and so does Bors. Are you following suit as well, Hannah?
Ayo, yes I am.
All right.
Eve? Heyo!
So the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna roll a series of dexterity checks. So
Ooh, a series of dice. I'm not gonna use the silver one.
rather than go into initiative combat because nobody's actually trying to attack anyone, we're gonna roll a series of dexterity checks to see how well you guys keep up with Chaff. And so, Chaff, go ahead and roll your first roll.
Alright. I hate these dice.
What'd you get?
7 total.
Are you sure they're not loaded on that 7?
I'm gonna try with a different set.
Rolls 1.
Go ahead and roll.
Well, not cannon, but I'm gonna try.
Yeah,
anyway.
roll. Go ahead and roll. Go ahead and
was
roll
even
your
worse.
dexterity check, Arthur.
I'm not gonna use the silver one.
Now he's not gonna use it.
Pick a color. Pick a color, hurry.
Yellow.
I only have gold.
Close
Let's
enough.
see. Oh my god, what was that? Anyway, that was an 18.
Bro.
I don't know, plus dexterity, plus 1, 19.
Okay. And Hannah?
Sturdy?
I'm sorry, what?
Sturdy.
I'm rolling dexterity.
Oh, I thought you said sturdy?
Yes, it's a dexterity roll. Straight, flat dexterity roll.
Gotcha. All right. Rolling it. Rolling it. Rolling it. It is 7. Yeah.
Alright. That is a 12 and a 14 from the other two. Alright. So Armin and Bors seem to be leaving Hannah in the dust a bit. Arthur, you are that much closer to Chaff. And let's go ahead and roll again for the next check. If Arthur gets a higher roll than Chaff in this one, then I will say that you have caught up to him. If you get a nat 20, Arthur, on this roll, and you are forbidden from using the silver dice to do so, then I will say that you caught him.
Silver dice.
If Chaff gets a nat 20 on this roll,
He tackles me out of the air.
uncontested, then you lose sight of him. Is that understood? Makes sense?
What if the rat across the field gets a net 20?
And we don't talk about the rat across the field.
Oh, poor Jeremy.
Spoilers?
All right, Chaff. Go for it.
6.
Oh my gosh, what's with these rolls?
Oh,
Maybe it's the surface.
Earth service.
So you rolled a 6, you said, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's so much better. It's 18 for me this time, I think.
Arthur, what are you gonna roll? Roll for me.
Yeah, choose a color again.
Just pick one, man.
Blue.
Fine. Oh, okay, blue. Oh, I have like 5 blue dice. This really blue one right here. Oh, and then on my computer. What is that? 14. Plus 1, 15.
Okay, so you catch up to him, but you don't catch him. All right, and Hannah rolled an 18. And she rolled better than the other two. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Armin also rolled 18. And he rolled 11. So, Bors begins to fall behind a bit. He's kind of heavy. Hannah, you're keeping pace with Armin. And Arthur, you are kind of now in the thick of these wheat stalks. Are you still flying? Or are you on your feet?
I would like to get him with my feet, so yeah, I'm still playing.
Okay.
Just like how an owl would a mouse.
So, because he's still in between all these stalks of wheat, your next rolls will be at disadvantage.
So you're telling me one of them can beat the silver dice?
I'm telling you, none of them can be the silver dice.
What? It's whack. I'll use the silver and the one that looks like fake silver.
You might rub off the bad juju on the silver dice and they'll never work the same again.
Bad juju on the silver dice?
Johnny, go ahead and roll for me.
That's a 14.
Nice. Finally, something above a 10.
Nice.
All right.
Then it's me.
Yes, it's you, Arthur, at disadvantage.
7 total.
7.
And guess what? It wasn't the silver dice. The silver dice got 19.
Well, that's why it's a disadvantage. All right, Hannah,
Yes.
roll.
The 7.
Okay. Oh my gosh. You lose Armin in the fields, but you catch up with Bors, and Chaff gets away from Arthur. And now that you are no longer at a height where you have advantage on sight, I'm gonna ask for the next 2 rolls to be Chaff, another stealth roll, and Arthur, another perception roll.
If I see him, could I try to cast a spell?
Again at disadvantage. Yes, you can, but again at disadvantage because you're so low in this field.
So low. Alright, what'd you say to roll again?
You have to roll a perception roll.
Look at you. 16, 17, plus 1.
That was your lower roll?
Yeah. I got 17 and 16.
11.
11. So you spot him.
Can I try to cast a spell?
Yes, you can.
Burn it.
Do not burn the field.
Fireball! I want to cast Puppet onto him, and he has to do a Constitution saving throw.
Puppet?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright.
You are showing off.
You heard him, Chaff. Roll your con save. What does he have to beat?
Nat 1.
Oh. Oh. Arthur, please describe what happens to Chaff when you cast this spell.
So basically, he stands stock still, like a toy. And then when I feel the connection of my magic, I'm just like, walk towards me. And he has to listen to it and walk all his movement in a direction I choose.
My character, not knowing what's going on, assumes that he was just saying that to me, so I start walking towards his places.
As Armin is still like clearly booking it through this field. Are you still flying or have you landed?
He said I landed.
You landed? Okay. So, Armin eventually catches up behind you. Who are you talking to?
I stiffly walk up to him.
Oh, this fine fellow right here. As soon he will break out of the spell's control. Could you kindly restrain him?
Sure, but maybe the big fellow might be better.
You simply just have to hold the tiny thing's arms close to itself.
How long does Puppet last? I'm gonna allow it just because I believe that this is a great story moment and we're already playing with so many messed up rules.
It doesn't have when it ends, though. Everything else, or at least everything except that one, I think is official.
Alright, how many saving throws should I roll?
So, this is what I'll say. Chaff was able to get away 30 feet from you, so I'll say just before he gets to you, he can roll another save on it. So we'll say he gets the opportunity to roll another con save.
Don't feel me now. 14.
14, and what was the save?
15.
Ooh. You feel him struggling really hard against your spell, and he just barely moves on his own. Enough to make you nervous. Enough to make you think he actually broke free from your hold. And he stops right before you. And Armin moves over and just puts his big meaty hands on Chaff's shoulders. And you could clearly see him now. This blue-scaled kobold, dressed in a dark charcoal gray outfit that has streams of purple in it and intricately woven patterns that seem oddly familiar to you, Arthur. Go ahead and roll me a history check while you're staring at Chaff.
Silver dice?
Whichever dice you want to use.
I already used the silver dice and it was 19.
Of course
Plus
it was.
history. This is a great dice. You should buy yourself one.
I'm convinced that it only has like the numbers 15 through 20 on there.
It's not weighted. I already tested that. It's just super amazing. 19, 20, 24 total.
Yeah, you immediately recognize the patterns and the symbols on his outfit to match the book that is in your museum. The one Hannah asked you about.
I'll keep that information to myself then. But I'll make it obvious that I'm staring him down.
And then, surely, as you're all talking, Chaff, go ahead and roll me another con save.
Wait, did I get there yet?
Not yet.
You're like, good job. I'm gonna lie here for a little bit.
Go ahead and roll me another con save.
12.
12?
Right.
Still doesn't break free. And sure enough, Hannah and Boris come up, and Boris looks down. He's like, "This is the little rodent." And Hannah, as you look at these robes, it in no time at all, you have flashbacks of when you've seen this robe before. Can you describe to us a scene from your childhood of the last time you saw these robes?
So Hannah kind of zones out almost. And in her mind, she remembers her father meeting with a man wearing such robes often. Her brother was often skirted away with her father, and Hannah remembered being upset for not being allowed access to these secret meetings. She knew her father to be of the pious kind, but could only imagine it to be of occult nature given what she's heard. So she's kind of zoned out, staring at him. And then she kind of snaps out of it and looks around and says, This guy's stealing your wheat?
I guess it's him, but just you? And he's staring you down, Chaff, waiting for a response. I've never seen creature quite like you. Small, but big lizard.
Am I able to shake my head at least?
I don't know how long you last, so I'll just say I let go of you.
Yeah, Armin has his hands firmly on your shoulders, like he is gripping. In fact, it seems he's gripping you very well. If you want to roll a dexterity check, if you want to escape, you can, but you feel that you're free of the spell.
All right. From my backpack, I take out an ear of corn and hand it to Arthur.
My character slaps it out of his hand. She goes, We don't want anything you're offering.
That's so mean.
Picking it back up, she's like, no, wait a second. Some realities are not clear until you have all the pieces of information you need. Now, this doesn't mean much of anything until the creature tells us.
Yes, but clearly he is wearing strange robe. He is small creature. I believe his feet match the prints we've been following, and he has corn in his backpack. And he kind of looks over at Armin to confirm. Yeah, I'd wager that he's the one. But probably not the only one. And Armin kind of stares down at Chaff. And he kind of tightens his grip a bit. Alright, little fella. Are you the only one out here, or are there more?
Insight check. He didn't even say anything. I'm going to insight check it.
Hold on a second. You're insight checking it because Chaff didn't say anything, but Chaff actually has an answer.
That's what I'm saying. If he answers, I'm insight checking.
All right. I point in the direction where I came from.
Which is immediately north, which Armin kind of acknowledges without even having a look. And Boars nods as well. The tracks. But why are you out here during day?
Better question, why would you point out what is presumably your clan, your family? Why is that so easy for you to do?
You think he is not telling truth?
Hannah snaps and says he has no loyalty.
All right. I point again at the north end and then drag my finger across my neck.
Ah, see? So quick to judge. He wasn't the one to sentence them to death first. Seems this fellow was escaping an unfortunate reality.
I nod my head vigorously.
I think you're too quick to trust. And she kind of shakes her head and she says, Could just be saying if you go that way, you'll die from my companions.
This could also be true. But over time, you see, it's better to give someone the benefit of the doubt. You don't know what they're going through.
While Arthur is rambling, Boars does kneel in front of... Not kneel, but he kind of squats down so he's at eye level with Chaff. Small creature. Do you not speak? I believe this would go a lot easier if you talked.
Shaking my head.
They cut his tongue out so he wouldn't talk.
Pirates! British people!
What?
I've never heard of them, but they sound awful.
Yeah, I'll just ask then, do you understand, or do you know in any form how to write in common?
All right. I pull out a notebook and write out like this.
Would you look at that? intelligent creature we have here. Now, I'm quite tired. That chasing you down was ordeal in itself. I will be up in that tree, and just point at the nearest tree. Hannah, as an assistant, why don't you find out all you can for the little fellow? And then I'm just going to go up in a tree.
Kind of crosses her arms and looks down.
I say we go check what is going on in that direction. He already pointed us in the right way. I kind of agree with Boris. He already showed us where his fellow, lizards are.
Oh, but I just finished chasing him.
If it's a trap, they're just looking for sacrifices.
Sacrifices? And he kind of like looks down at the robes. You recognize these robes?
And she just kind of like pauses for a brief moment. She's like, it just looks very ominous.
I'm going to have you roll me a deception check.
Oh, yeah. It's 24.
Oof.
Oh, man, I didn't roll. No.
He's close, but he can't tell. He stares at you for a good while, and then looks at Boris, and looks back at you, and then looks at Chaff, and then looks at Arthur. Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't understand none of this scribbling. And then, as he's saying that, suddenly you guys hear 1, 2, 3 shots off in the distance towards the south.
Is that the opposite direction?
Mm-hmm. And Boars immediately, without skipping a beat, shoots back up to his full height. That was coming from the manor.
They fancy hunting around their manor? Or do you think there's something malicious in play?
My family does not hunt in the manor. Normally we go out the wood, and we do not believe in using firearms. It's not good sport.
Think you should check in on your family.
Now, wait a second, Hannah. This is a great exercise for choosing realities. Now tell me, which reality do you choose? Follow the lizard? Or follow the person?
Any reality you're not in.
I should have seen that reality coming as well. But which do you choose? Follow the lizard? Or follow the person? Depending on which you choose, further realities will change.
My character kind of crosses her arms and looks at him, and she's like, what are you, a fortune teller? How about you pick?
Well, seeing as if it was a choice for you, if your choice was to let me choose, why don't I leave it up to chance? I want to flip a coin.
My character shakes her head. She's like, no, I'll go with the party regarding the lizard man. I don't trust him.
Well, there you have it. What the heck was his name again? Boris? Billy Bob? Was it Boris?
Boars.
Boris.
Boar's head, like the food.
Ham.
Compromise elsewhere.
There you have it, boys. You check out your manor, and we will go check out the lizards.
And then, as you guys are saying that, you hear another 4 shots go off in the south. And Boars, without even thinking, just takes off running.
I kind of look at Arthur and I'm like, wouldn't it make more sense for me to go with Armin and you to go with Boars, so that way we have some muscle with dealing with the lizards?
Is this what you wish?
Like I said, whatever reality you're not in.
Well, if I were to go that way, it would technically result in your reality not containing my reality for at least a small bit of future. But if that's what you wish, I will head with it.
Listen. As much as I'd like to find the vermin, I'm gonna go and head with Boris, to be honest with you. We could find the vermin later, but those gunshots sound a little more serious to me.
True, but we were sent on a job.
At this point, he lets go of Chaff. Yeah, we were hired for a job. But if the people who hired us for that job are in peril, it makes more sense to go and help them. Besides, we might come across more of this guy's kind. They might be the ones causing the trouble.
Oh, very well. Let's head off then.
While everybody's heading off, she's gonna stay with Chaff.
Alright. So Boris is already ahead of everyone. Arthur, are you gonna keep pace with Armin, or are you gonna fly?
I'll keep pace with Armin on land.
Alright, so you guys do that. And you stay behind with Chaff. What is Chaff doing now that he's free?
I pick up the ear of corn, put it back in my backpack, and now I attempt my special skill of puppy eyes.
Alright, go ahead and roll me a persuasion check.
How do I counter this?
Insight. What'd you get, Chaff?
Or
4?
I got 16.
You see right through his puppy eyes. He doesn't seem malicious, but you're not persuaded by his cuteness. You can smell that he probably hasn't bathed in a while. You could see the crusted dirt beneath his nails. It's like that super hyper zoomed in animation, and you just see like all the fumes coming off of him, and like the cracks on the scales, and like the veins in his eyes, like like you're just like, ugh.
I'm gonna grab him by the collar, and she's gonna be like, "Where'd you get these garments?"
Point to the south again. Sorry, north.
She's gonna let him go, and she's gonna like, "Show me."
I shake my head vigorously and make gestures at my own face as if I was punching myself.
She kind of stares at him really long, trying to figure out what he's saying. And she's like, "Do you have a map where I would have to go?"
Now I could probably draw one. I pull out the notebook and start drawing.
Go ahead and roll me for this a history check. Actually, no. Let's make this a performance check. Let's see how well you piece together this map in an understandable way. You guys are starting to hear more than just gunshots. At this point, you are hearing cries and yells, mainly from goblins, as they seem to be fleeing in all directions from the manor.
Yeah, I'm no hero. So anyways,
You're no hero yet. You want to go to that place.
So she looks at Chaff and she's like, "Well, you got a map or not?"
She wants to skip the tutorial and go straight for level 3.
Oh. All right, that's a 20.
20 performance?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So you see this map, and it's almost 3D looking. There's even like a cursor, there's like clear legends, and like you can understand this perfectly. He's even marked out for you where all the fake tunnels are, and it is intricate. I mean, it is several pages of stuff, and it takes them a good while to make this. And while that is happening, we are going to cut away to Arthur, Boris, and Armin. It doesn't take you long to get to the manor. It wasn't far from where you were at. And as you guys are approaching the manor, you are finding bodies. Goblins, humans, elves, just thrown about around the entrance of the manor. And it looks like the front entrance is broken in. You see soldiers dead on the floor. It looks like some of them have even been hewn in two, like just perfectly cleaved in half. the walls around the entrance looks like it's been smashed repeatedly with some kind of blade in almost nonsensical directions as you approach the manor, and from inside you could still hear screaming and grunts and cries and more gunshots. Bors almost immediately rushes in, and Armin catching up with him. He pauses, he doesn't rush in immediately, and he kind of looks back at you, Arthur. What do you reckon is going on here?
Oh, it's pretty obvious. They seem to be having a great time in there. And one of the patrons, probably having a ball. One of the patrons just got uppity and started fighting.
You any good at combat, Mr. Wizard? As he's like loading his revolvers.
I can hold my own in a fight, though I do not wish to fight at all.
Alright, well, you could stay out here, but I'm going in. And he rushes in.
I'll follow.
What I am going to ask you for is a perception check. Since you have never been to this manor, I'm going to ask you for a perception check to see if you could tell which direction the gunshots and screams are coming from currently and where to go.
Green dice. I can't actually see green, so I don't know if this is green.
Perception?
Mm-hmm.
Perception? Perception. 9. 9. 9.
You have no idea where to go. You are kind of bewildered by the amount of death and just mayhem that has happened. As you look around, you see a lot of the same markings everywhere of just what looks like someone wildly swinging a sword in various directions and just cleaving through flesh and wood and stone all together in just a wild manner. And
How tall is building?
the foyer is 2 stories. It has that, the winding side stairs that kind of curve up towards the 2nd floor. The right side seems completely destroyed.
2 stories.
It is a manor. It is a very large house.
2 stories, so this place must at least be 5 feet tall.
Technically true.
Ooh. Armin equally is a bit lost here at which direction to go to. And so you guys go in one direction, you kind of lost Bors. And then as you guys are going in one direction, you just hear more yelling and screaming and gunfire, and then it kind of stops, and then it picks up again, and yelling and screaming and gunfire. And go ahead and roll me another perception check.
8.
You're kind of lost, but then Armin immediately about faces, and he's like determined. He knows which direction to head in. And he comes back out into the foyer, and he heads immediately upstairs, and you follow him, and he goes towards what is the south wing of the house. And as you guys are entering this wing, you can now clearly hear what sounds like swords cleaving into everything. You hear the sounds of bones crushing and flesh splitting and wood being hacked into and walls being torn through. It doesn't sound like one singular sword being swung. It sounds like several. And then you hear
Average barbecue.
and you hear all of a sudden a familiar voice cry out in agony. followed by a large thud. And Armin picks up the pace.
Do I see people in armor? Soldiers?
You see soldiers littered throughout this place.
Foreign armored soldiers?
None that you've seen so far.
Okay, I'm just gonna keep following.
Until you guys finally come into this big open room and you see Boar's on the floor in front of you just at the entrance, and he's kind of like holding his wounds, trying to keep himself alive barely. And you hear just at that moment a woman scream as she gets split in two horizontally. Her body plops to the floor. And ahead of you is something you've never seen in your entire life. You see what appears to be a ring of floating swords surrounding a single soldier, and he is dressed in the same uniform that you see all the soldiers, but he seems different somehow, and you don't quite recognize him from behind. But he begins to turn to face you, and it's an elf, an older man who seems well advanced in his years, and you immediately recognize him, Arthur, as one of the three, aside from Armin and the Drow. You recognize him as the third soldier who came into the inn earlier today. He's covered in blood. And immediately, Armin pulls out his revolvers and he begins to open fire. And that is a 21 to hit, and he misses as one of the swords comes flying through the air and slices the bullet into pieces. And he goes to fire again. And that is a 16, also misses, just completely blocked by another sword.
Oh man, run.
And you can swear that Armin is a good shot, but he just can't get through to this guy.
I said I didn't want you in my reality.
The elf completely turns to face you both. You too have come to die as well.
I'm gonna tell him that's kind of mean. It's kind of mean. He shouldn't say that. Might hurt my feelings.
That's rude.
Alright, so there's no others standing near him.
Everybody else, aside from Boars and you two in this room, is dead. Boars is like on his last leg.
So he's by himself?
Yes. And he has 5 flying swords around him and no weapon in his hands.
Is he in a room or is he in a big open space?
This is a big room.
Would you say that there could be casualties if I cast something reckless?
Everybody else is already dead.
Boris, you'll just be, I'll put on your tombstone. Oops. Alright, so I'll just fly up the 30 feet.
There isn't quite 30 feet. You can maybe get 15 feet up comfortably without hitting your head on the ceiling.
What sort of big open room is this 15 foot tall?
15 feet is high, my friend. Especially...
My friend's 20 feet.
Well, you could go all the way to 20 feet, but then you'll be, like, back against the ceiling.
I'll get Shaquille O'Neal in here. He's not going to approve of this.
Are you ready for this? Oh no, we were ready for that.
Alright, so just go where I'm comfortable, and then...
I mean, you could totally have your back against the ceiling, and you could be like a weird ceiling decoration, but, I mean, it's up to you.
I wouldn't be able to fly then. My wings are on my back.
Yeah, I know.
Unless I'm just, like, smacking him on the ceiling every time I have to push down. Just ow, 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 ow.
Yeah, you're pretty close to that at 15 feet.
Alright, so... I'm gonna tell Armin Hammer, cleans all your stains. Not sponsored. Please sponsor us. I'm gonna tell him just, Harmon, no matter how good of a shot you are, it seems his strange magic is keeping your bullets at bay. Might I recommend leaving while you still can? Is my silver dice? Yeah, it is. And then I want to cast Manumission. You know what I mean?
You're casting magic missile?
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your damage.
That is 244.
244?
Yeah.
Can you describe to me what your missiles look like as they fly from you?
Mom spaghetti.
Once a spaghetti come volunteer.
I would have to say green magic. No. Yeah, the green magic, a green like sphere, real small sphere, and then it's being trailed like a comet, and the trail is like Roman numerals, just like how a watch would be.
And you just see these just crash into him, and as the smoke rises and dissipates, he seems almost untouched by your magic, and there's just a grin that smears his face, and I need you to roll initiative.
Before I do, I'm just gonna tell him, "Oh, don't you smirk! I doubt that power was fairly earned." At 16.
16.
Yeah.
You are top of the order. Then it is Armin. Then it is Boars. Then it is this mysterious elf soldier. So, top of the order, Arthur.
Does the guy say anything to me making fun of his power?
No, he just has a smirk on his face.
How close is Borst compared to him?
If you just flew straight up, Boars is on the ground below you at the entrance.
Oh.
This guy is across the room, so he's about 60 feet away.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
He's 60 feet away from Boars.
How tall is Boris?
Boars is not very tall right now because he's pretty much on the ground.
Borst not very tall. He's about floor height.
Boars is laying on the ground. When it is his turn, he's rolling death saves.
All right, let me do something. Let me do.
Don't die on me, Boris.
So can I pick up Boars and try to fly away with him?
Are you flying back down and then flying out?
Yes.
Okay, you could go ahead and do that.
What do I roll?
I'm going to need you to roll a strength check. You can roll athletics or flat strength. Up to you. Whichever is the better of the two.
Yes, both +0.
To see if you pick up this heavily armored man.
Pick them up just like, oh, you've got some spilled all over the floor. Just put those back where they were, pat them, yeah, see, all better. That is a natural 20.
Natural 20? Nice. Okay, you pick him up, no problem.
Yoink.
But you are unable to fly while you are holding him.
You, fetch man!
I'm assuming you're running out of this place.
Yeah. And if this is upstairs, then am I just dragging him downstairs like, ow, 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 ow?
So you're dragging him, you're not picking him up?
You said he was heavily armored, and I am quite literally a bone-thin wizard.
But you got nat 20 on that roll.
Oh, then can I just... yeah, then I'll put him on my shoulders.
Adrenaline. It works.
Adrenaline's a heck of a...
You are
Man,
pumping
Mojo.
full of that adrenaline, picking up this man as you try to run away from this mad swordsman. And that is your turn. Armin takes his turn, and he starts shooting at this guy.
What did I just say? What did I just say?
That is a nat 1. He, for the first time, it seems like he's not aiming correctly, as he's kind of freaked out by this guy. And that is an 18.
He stole his natural 20.
That is
or replaced his natural 20 with a nat 1.
That's a 24, and he still misses as one of the swords just slices through another bullet.
Are they disappearing, or are they just like hitting and then keep going?
They are like ricocheting off this guy's blades as they spin around him. And then Armin is behind you, running almost backwards, with his eyes focused on the swordsman, who is very casually, he's not chasing you. He seems to have the demeanor of, this is a fun game, let's play. And he is casually walking after you guys as you are trying to get away. So he's not even taking his full movement to get after you guys.
It's back up to me then?
Nope. Boar's in your arms. Coughs up a bunch of
Did
blood.
he fail?
He failed his first death save.
I'm using my time magic. Try again.
Try again.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is a 16.
I didn't like that reality. Try again.
You see, just suddenly time goes backwards for you. And
Oh, he sucks up the blood.
and he's just like
Wait, while he's like that, while he's like I'm just like, Odin, that blood of yours, I wouldn't want you messing up my coat again.
And as you're doing this, you hear a come from the soldier. It is now your turn again.
Well, while I'm running, I'll just call out to him. Since you have clearly bested us, why not tell us the name of the great wizard, I assume, that has bested us? Can I persuasion him?
You could go ahead and roll the persuasion if you want.
Sick. 15 total.
Oof.
And if that's not an action, I would like to dash as well, so I get double my movement.
That is an action, unfortunately.
No!
And he rolled a 16, so he sees through your persuasion, and he kind of You can call me the offender.
I don't feel pretty offended.
And you're taking your movement?
Yeah.
Now, because you are holding boars, you can only take up to 15 feet of movement.
Huh?
He's a heavy dude. You can't fly and you are at half speed.
Oh, what the heck is he? He has more weight per square inch than a dwarf.
In case you don't know this, he's like 180 himself. So you are encumbered, sir. You are encumbered holding this man. But Armin is behind you. He's making sure he's between you and the other soldier, who is still only taking half his movement. Is that your turn, or are you going to do something else? You still have bonus action.
I don't have anything I can use for a bonus action.
Okay.
Bonus action breakdance.
So Armin is going to take another 2 shots at him.
Bonus action stealth.
The first one goes wide. It's the clearest shot ever between all the swords, but just completely misses. And the second one is no different. It seems that the more Armin tries to shoot at this guy, the less chances he has of hitting him, and the more terrified he is of what he's looking at. At this point, Armin kind of says, It's just like all the stories.
Like all the stories. This man's from a fairy tale.
And he's backing up. I'm going to give you a chance to roll a history check as a free action to see what Armin is talking about.
History. We did the monster mash. I should have used a silver dice.
What'd you roll? What did you roll?
I got it 2.
He doesn't even remember he has toes.
Even as a
That's a total of 7.
even as a
How does it feel to be me?
even as a great purveyor of magic, you don't know if you've even ever heard of this kind of magic. And it is now Borz's turn to roll another death save. Unless you have another ace up your sleeve here. He just failed his death save.
I do actually. So
You see him.
well, I'm gonna make him try again then.
And sure enough, he succeeded at another one.
I told you to hold in that blood. You know how horrible it is to clean blood off this coat.
And it is this guy's turn again, and he gets closer to the door. At this point, you guys can no longer see him. And it is your turn again.
Right, I'm gonna try to ask him a different question. Since you want to be all mysterious and edgy, Mr. Swordsman, why don't you tell us what great organization has sent you here? If any.
Without hesitation, when you ask this man who he was sent by, he says, "The King of Talva, of course."
I'm gonna say it back to him, the King of Tower, of course. You're not impressing anyone with that sort of speech. If you were to speak plainly, it would be way more intimidating. Remember that for the future.
While you're saying that, Armin is visibly shaking at this point when he hears the King of Talva. His brain is connecting dots. What are you gonna do for your turn?
Since he answered and I didn't have to roll anything, I assume I still have my action.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, then dash and go towards the door.
Okay, so you're going your full speed.
Yeah.
I mean, you're already out of the door. That's why you can no longer see him. So you're going down the hall.
Make sure I'm gone.
And Armin doesn't even bother to fire anymore. He is running next to you now, and that's his turn. And let's see if our boy saves. Oh, that's a 12. In your arms, he seems to stabilize. He seems to calm down. The bleeding kind of slows. And he seems like he might make it if you guys make it out of here. And Armin is looking at you, seeing if you want to share the load with him in carrying Boars out of here.
Well, just like, yeah, hold on to him. And also you, Boars, finally, the reality in which you don't spit blood atop my coat.
And it is this guy's turn, and he at this point takes his full speed to make it out into the hallway. And he just says, Now, where do you think you're going? And he puts his hand out, and you just see a ball of fire just forms hovering above the palm of his hand, and he chucks it straight at your back, Arthur. Does a 28 hit?
No. Let me check if I don't have anything to stop him doing that. Let's see. The map to the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount. Pamphlet for Chinese restaurant. Oh, here it is. My magic. Oh, I got it.
That is 19 points of fire damage that you take as this thing bursts against your back.
You just fry the bird?
Okay, so that was double my health and damage, so I will give you my new character sheet now.
Was it really?
No. think it killed me that easy.
Well, there goes Arthur, guys.
You're definitely a bald bird now, though.
I'm definitely down, is what you should say.
And you just drop your half of Boars, and Armin kind of like drops to his knee, and he's like staring backwards, terrified. And it is now top of the round, and you need to roll a death save for me.
I use a silver dice. Can you guess what that means?
You rolled a nat 20.
No, wait. Yeah, no, wait. I'm here for the drama.
All right, so you get back up with 1 point of health. Actually, you know what? Go ahead and roll a d4 for me.
Are you using my chaos dice against me?
No, this will determine how much health you come back with.
4.
You come back with 4 health.
Can I reflavor that to me in a moment of, oh shoot, I'm screwed, of just exerting some extra magic and rewinding, but not good?
Not all the flames lick up your feathers.
Yeah. Can I?
Yeah.
Because I'm out of time magic.
Yeah.
But I would like to rewind it as I exerted myself to use some more time magic.
That's fine. You were downed and Armin is freaking out, and then just you're back up and that fire bolt hits you in the back and just the flames, but you grit yourself with enough willpower that you don't completely go down.
And then just stand back up, just pat myself off from the flames. It's like, I told you this coat was expensive!
You are hurting. Armin is scared. Boars is out cold but alive. And it's at this time, as you do that, something very odd happens. As you're sure that you're about to die, you're looking ahead, Armin is looking back, and you could swear that something is moving in the shadows of the hallway ahead of you. And just all of a sudden, the drow you saw from earlier rises up out of one of the shadows, and in one arm, she has what appears to be a rather thick tome wrapped in purple leather, and in her other hand, she has what appears to be the hilt of a sword that is very familiar to you, the God Killer.
Bro, you stole from me? That's kind of cringe.
Unlike the soldier behind you, she is no longer wearing the uniform. She is wearing a rather fitted black outfit, and she looks past you all at the soldier who's been devastating this manor and you guys. Come now, offender. I have the things that we came for.
So I get a good look at the woman, right? What clothes she's wearing?
Yeah, she's wearing a very fitted black outfit. The kind of clandestine outfit you would expect a thief or a spy to wear when they're on a mission. And Armin turns around to look at her. Private Fisher, what are you doing here? And she kind of... You couldn't guess I am not on your side. But... I don't understand. You and him. And he's paralyzed. He doesn't move. It is now Offender's turn.
Bro, that name. The Hex Offender. The Magic Offender.
And he's kind of like, oh, but we were having so much fun. Fine. We might as well head out. They're all going to die anyways. And he just walks past you all.
I'll hold my tongue this time.
You are out of combat. His sword disappears. He's walking past you. You're welcome to attempt an attack of opportunity.
No, I'll leave him there.
And he just stands next to...
Wait. You say he's walking past?
Yeah. Faces past.
I'll just... and he saw him. So as he's walking past, just readjusting myself, ignoring the pain of having my spine destroyed by a fireball, And just in the most regal way of standing, I'm just like, that was a good show. I have to ask, is that magic ancient? Or is it newly developed?
Oh, the new bird. And they both smile as they sink together back into the shadows and completely vanish from sight. We cut away to Hannah, where Hannah received the map from Chaff, which is before Armin and Arthur even entered the room where they saw the soldier with the flying swords. And what are you guys doing?
So I take the map from Chaff and I look at it briefly and I say, wow, you should have been a cartographer. And she puts it in her bag and she says, thank you for that. And then she gets down to his eye level and she says, you don't seem to want to go back there, huh?
I shake my head no.
She says, look, I get it. You don't want to face the past. You'd rather run away and start anew. I get that. So, if you'd like, you can come with me. I'll make sure you're fed. And we'll get you new clothes. And she kind of like pinches the cloth of your shirt. She says, and we could just leave that behind. And then she puts out her hand and she says, what do you say?
I look past her and then down at her hand. And then I grab it and shake it.
Say, good, let's go. And then she starts running towards the house, like mad dashing.
You don't even know my name yet.
Oh, man. And so are you going with her, Chaff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Follow her.
So what I'll say is you guys reach the manor as Arthur and Armin are just turning the corner out of this room. And you guys find yourselves in the foyer. You've seen all the same things, the bodies, the slash marks, things destroyed, soldiers everywhere, bullet holes in random places. It is chaos, but you don't really hear much going on. There is some goblins rummaging about, trying to make their way out of the manor, but you don't sense that the danger is here in the foyer.
Seeing the immediate damage, my character's actually going to run back out. And she's going to do prestidigitation to throw a flare up in the air. Almost like try to get the townspeople to come. And then she's going to run back in and start trying to find Arthur, like calling out to him.
Okay. What is Chaff and Hannah's passive perceptions?
13.
Sick. Hold on. Alright, I guess it's 13 then.
Yeah, you both very easily. It seems that this is not being done very carefully. You guys notice something very odd about the shadows in this house. As you see a figure briefly move in and out of the shadows like if they're doorways.
So I'm going to say, if it's all right with you, since I kind of ran up to the doorway, saw the condition of everything, ran back out, did the flare, that I ran back in next to Chaff and I noticed it and I said, what the heck?
It is moving great distances. It's not like every 10 feet or 30 feet. This is like clear across the house. I mean, you see it once or twice before it completely vanishes from your sight.
And I try and attack it.
Oh.
You are welcome to. I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a disadvantage. It is moving very quickly.
Alright, let me think. Probably gonna go for a Eldritch Blast.
So go ahead and roll it for me at disadvantage.
Alright, 14 at disadvantage.
You just barely miss. You're not even sure if you actually hit them or not, as this swirl of energy curls around your arm and just fires off your hand and into the wall on the second floor.
I look towards Hannah questioningly.
When you look at Hannah, you see that she almost looks like her breathing is a bit labored. So internally, Hannah is kind of taking in the scene of the bodies and the blood. and she's kind of having like an out-of-body experience.
You guys very clearly hear the fire burst as it hits Arthur's back at this time.
She just kind of snaps her head towards the sound, kind of like, oh yeah. And she's like, Arthur? And she starts running up there.
All right, so you're headed up. Chaff, are you following?
Yeah.
Okay. So Hannah's rushing up. Chaff, you're heading up. And you guys book it. Full speed ahead. As you get to this part of the hallway, you just barely see as two people sink back into the shadows. One that you know is this shadow magician of some kind, and the other wearing the soldier's uniform. You can't really tell from the back who it is, but you can tell because you could see their pointed ears. They are also an elf, as they both sink into the shadow, and dead ahead of you, you see Arthur is badly wounded. Bors looks torn up. And Armin, who for the better part of the time that you've been with him, seemed like a pretty sturdy guy, has a look of horror on his face.
Is Armin hurt, or is he standing?
It looks like both Armin and Arthur were trying to hold Bors up, but Arthur looks like he's on his last leg, and so he's like kind of the lower one right now holding up Bors, and Armin looks like he's trying to pick up both of them because of the way they're leaning.
Hannah immediately runs towards Arthur. She's like, Arthur, Arthur. She like kind of tries to sit you up. She's like, are you okay? What happened? And she's looking at your back. She's like trying not to react too much to the cooked chicken smell.
Chicken! Turkey, thank
You? So, when I see that she's finally over here, like, oh, good, you finally arrived. Help this fool, will you? He might have information that we need. Oh, and watch this other fool. He may be dangerous. Yeah, I'm just gonna slump on the floor and just like, good day, I'm gonna take a nap. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just gonna let myself fall to the floor. And just while I'm on my back or on my side, whichever hurts least, broken ribs, broken spine, Merlin, a parchment with their faces, the two elves' faces, a side view and a front view, and also an image of the tome and my knife.
I'm going to have you roll a performance check to see how well this actually comes out. If it's just stick figures or if this is like a full detailed sketch.
Man, I was going to let my silver dice rest because it got me nat 20, but I'm going to use it again because how dare you. It doesn't like that you try to make it use it again. Another natural 20!
It is a perfect sketch. I mean, you guys can clearly see what's on this sketch. And are you keeping it to yourself or are you showing them?
I'm just going to look it up and down, make sure it's good. Just like, yep, I'm good at magic. Oh, blood loss. And I'm just going to hand it to Hannah and just like, say, do these look familiar? Don't confirm it with me. I don't care. Right now I'm in incredible pain and wish to rest.
She's just gonna like look a little confused and put it in her bag. And then she's gonna rush over to Bor and...
You take the paper and put it in your bag?
Yeah, while you're rushing off and I'm just like about to pass out, just like, little word for your knowledge. That is magical in nature. It will disappear. Ugh.
Then I hand it to Chaff and I say, please, draw this. And then I rush over to Bor to help stabilize him.
Bob Ross, please.
So, Chaff, you're looking at the paper now, right?
Yeah.
You know exactly who the elf man is when you see his face on the paper. You've seen his face plenty of times. This is Ivan the Offender. He is the one in command over all the other soldiers that have been keeping your people captive in that cave network. But the drow, you don't recognize at all.
I start drawing redrawing everything, but I also add a bunch of notes, like where to find him.
Mm-hmm. And Hannah, what are you doing again?
Sizing bore, trying to use medicine.
You want to see if you could heal him? Do you have a medicine kit?
Oh, that's a great question. What do I have? Says I have proficiency with an herbalism kit. I don't think it's a medicine one.
Do you have any kind of spell that can heal?
I don't think so. Nope. I was just gonna use the medicine skill. Maybe rip cloth off of my clothes or something.
Alright, you could go ahead and do that. You don't have to roll for that. That's not really going to do anything for him. It's because the bleeding is already coming to a halt. So it is going to help him in a sense of just not bleeding anymore, but he's already stable.
Oh, well. She's just gonna check on him then.
Cleaning up the mess, you're kind of bandaging him up with torn pieces of cloth.
If I see that he's stable, I'd probably run out and find a carriage with a horse to try to start loading up the wounded.
Okay. And Chaff, are you just drawing it, putting notes down?
Yeah, pretty much.
Arthur, since you weren't actually damaged enough to be passed out, are you just being passed out?
I know that it wasn't enough to make me pass out, but in flavor, I overexerted my use of magic. So I'm just gonna let myself sleep.
You guys are all doing this. Hannah, you're the first one to see a contingent of soldiers coming from the town. They are bringing a wagon. They begin to search and try and figure out what's happening. Some of them see you. They don't really recognize you, but they don't register you as a threat. Unless you're not carrying any weapons out in the open, are you?
No, I don't have anything pulled out, but she's gonna start running to them, kind of like waving at them frantically, like, come, hurry.
Okay, so they go ahead and they approach you and they're like, what happened here? What is this? Is there any survivors?
In a panic, she's gonna be like, I don't know, I just got here. We just came out here to investigate vermin. Next thing we know, the manor was being attacked. I think the people who were attacking escaped. I only saw them for a brief moment and they disappeared.
You see with them is the local magistrate, and he gets out of the cart. Excuse me, what did you say again? What happened here?
Kind of stumbles over her words again, and she's like, well, I'm not really sure. I just got here. We came out here to inspect a case of vermin, and the next thing we knew, we heard screaming in the mansion. Everybody's hurt in there. I think the people who attacked vanished. I saw them for a brief moment.
Is there anyone alive inside?
A couple. They're heavily injured.
And then he points to a few soldiers. You, go inside. Bring out the wounded. You, and you. Explore the rest of the manor. Do you mind showing them the way? He looks at you, Hannah.
Yes, of course. And she starts, like, doing a run jog thing as she shows them.
Alright. And he kind of follows with you towards where the survivors are, and he immediately recognizes Arthur and Boris. And he goes to kneel down by the side of Arthur for a second to check. Very badly burned. And what happened to Boris? And he looks up at Armin. And Armin just has a look of horror on his face. He's not really talking.
Hannah kind of like grabs him by the shoulders, looks him in the eye and says, Armin, snap out of it. We need you here.
I'm sorry. I can't believe I traveled with them for months. I would never have. I just don't understand. The swords. The swords, it's like the legend. It's just like my father and my grandfather used to tell me.
She's like notably confused, and she's like, all right, let's get you to the wagon. Come on.
Like the Kree Knights all over again. At him saying the Kree Knights, Heinz clears his throat abruptly. He must be sputtering nonsense. You and you help up the wizard and Boars. young lady, if you can help Armin. And he turns and he finally notices Chaff sitting there scribbling away. What is that?
Suddenly gets up and she's like, oh, he's a friend. Don't mind him. He's totally unrelated to this. He's a friend. And she just kind of like pushes Chaff, like, come on, Chaff, let's go.
No. You're not going anywhere. The two of you seem to be in better health. And whatever you are scribbling, the two of you will meet me in my office today. Hello, friends, and thank you for listening to yet another episode of the Silent Bard Tavern in our Phantoms of Talva campaign. I know this episode was a real doozy, and I know what you're thinking. Is it a cart? A wagon? A carriage? Was the farm a vineyard or a wheat field? How did Chaff get corn? Such pressing questions, I know. And you can find out more by listening to the next episode. But before we close out for today, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart and everyone here. We thank you for listening, and I want to take a moment to ask you if you like the show, if you appreciate what we're doing here, and you are wondering how you can help the podcast. Tell a friend, tell family, tell anyone you know. Share, like, rate us, all of that good stuff. Anyways, thank you again. We greatly appreciate you, and we hope you enjoyed. And join us next time for another episode of the Silent Bard Tavern.